taking it a little bit further in the table of contents in this Time magazine. This one's entitled The Millennium, and this whole magazine here was dedicated to the new millennium. And back in 1992, they got everybody's thoughts and ideas about what the new millennium was going to be about, what it was going to be like, you know, what the achievements are, and you know, and they also hired this guy here. That's Arthur C. Clarke at his home in Sri Lanka with Mars on the screen. Now, Arthur C. Clarke was a futuristic novel writer, I could say. Yeah, he's a futurist, you know. And him and one other guy they hired here. I think his name was Charles Kettering was the other guy. So let me just start off this episode here by reading his little article from the managing editor. We should all be concerned about the future because we will have to spend the rest of our lives there, said the inventor Charles Kettering. In our time, no symbol of the future has sparked more anticipation and mystery than the year 2000. And now the epic moment is close at hand. Lucky us, few people who ever walked the earth have had the opportunity to ring in all at once a new year, new decade, new century, and a new millennium. The eminence of this extraordinary occasion inspired us to devote an entire special issue to the tantalizing future before us and the great events that have set the stage for it. We are happy that our plans for this project appealed so much to IBM that it offered to become the sole advertiser for this issue. A subject so monumental calls for some unusual approaches. In one such departure, we commissioned science fiction master Arthur C. Clarke, the author of 2001, A Space Odyssey, to write a new story set in the third millennium. His tale, The Hammer of God, about an asteroid that imperils the Earth, is only the second piece of fiction ever to be published in Time. The first was a story by Alexander Solzhenitsyn in 1969. The 74-year-old British futurist, who has written more than 50 books, is often as prescient as he is prolific. Clarke has long warned about humankind's vulnerability to asteroid impacts, a subject that is just now capturing the attention of the scientific mainstream. I'm not a predictor, says Clarke. I'm an extrapolator. Sometimes I hear of a scientific discovery or invention, and then I say, what if? What would it imply? The future may be fantastic, but it will also be funny, according to contributor Meryl Marco's portrayal of dating and marriage in the 21st century. Marco, an Emmy-winning TV writer, is most recently the author of essay collection What the Dogs Have Taught Me. We also resolved to challenge some assumption about society's direction, a mission that historian Christopher Lasch handles skillfully in an essay on the shortcomings of progress, which was the subject of his 1991 book, the true and only heaven. All told, Time journalists consulted more than 200 futuristic thinkers to help shape this guide to the next millennium. We hope you agree that the result is an exciting preview of the world in which we will soon live. Going back to the table of contents, let's just go over some of the titles here. Let's see. Starting with number 6. The Great Event. A moment to marvel. The millennium shines with immense psychological power. It promises a new age or an apocalypse. The big blowout. So what if it's still more than 7 years away? The future poll, which I've gone over with you in my first video, so check that out if you haven't seen it. The future poll. Americans speculate on the second coming of Jesus Christ, of course, and other mysteries. Looking back. What's this, like Columbus speaking with the Indians? Or, yeah, that's what it looks like there. Out of the darkness. The current millennium was dominated by the rise of Europe and the triumph of the West for good and ill. Millennium at a glance. A gatefold timeline puts 1,000 years into perspective. Our astonishing era, the 20th century, brought an explosion of change and an onslaught of high technology. Centuries ahead. What's this pyramid-looking device here that he's waving his hand in front of? Into the unknown. The future will be complex, fast-paced, and turbulent. Will we be ready? Hello, number 36. The New World Order. With militarism ending, all big questions will be basically economic. Yeah, see that? Higher tech. Here come intelligent machines, multi-sensual media, and highly evolved artificial creatures. Moving on. Alright. Now what we're looking at here is an article written in the Time magazine by Meryl Marco. I believe that is a woman here. And she's just describing what dating in the world will be like in the future beyond the new millennium. So, as you see here, let me just go ahead and read. And it says, the dating game. Love and marriage will be a dangerous sport, a humorist predicts. So she's considered a humorist. But as we look at this here, I want you to check this out. The next century will be a time of many informational breakthroughs. Most notably, the battle between the sexes will take on a new complexion because it will be scientifically documented that men and women are completely different species of animals. None unlike, say, hyenas and pumas, although there will be a lot of heated arguments about who gets to be the pumas. Once everyone accepts that we're speaking different languages, a computer system will be developed that allows instantaneous intersexual communication to occur. For the first time, certain simple but formerly bewildering transactions will become clear. At the end of an evening out, when the single man of the future says to his date, "I had a nice time, I'll call you," I predict that men will still be using this line. The woman to whom he is speaking will immediately hear in her headset. What he means is that while he thinks you are attractive, he's concerned that you already have expectations of him that he will never be able to meet. He's associating you with his needy, castrating mother because she had the same hair color as yours. That's a computer talking to your headset. By this time, sex and dating will be so dangerous, owing to the numerous rampant communicable diseases and personality disorders, that they will be attempted only by the kind of thrill seekers who do things like bungee jumping, sky surfing, and eating at Denny's. By the year 2020, in fact, casual dating will be a popular arena sport. People too terrified to pursue something so hazardous themselves will witness actual live human beings who, for big money stakes, will eat dinner with, and then perhaps, if dinner goes well, become intimate with people they are attracted to but basically know nothing about. Because the average person will be far too cautious to risk even a single totally worthless encounter, we will see the transformation of the medical clinic into a kind of after-hours meeting place where nervous but lonely people will be able to undergo a battery of health tests, and while waiting results, stop by the bar to enjoy a trendy snack with others who may have the same ailment. I predict that honey-roasted songbirds will be the snack of choice by then, because they will turn out to be the last remaining edible creature that is domestically plentiful, low in fat, and still has not been made into a trendy snack item. All of this escalating terror will, oddly, increase the number of marriages taking place. Even though we will see the divorce rate rise from 1 in 2 marriages to 2 in 2, these alarming statistics will cause the birth of a new nuptial tradition. Savvy couples will create the most intimate bond two people can share by agreeing to get married and divorced simultaneously. At that point, they will possess so much file data about each other that they will negotiate in advance the terms of every day they plan to spend together, deciding what annoying habits they are willing to tolerate, and more important, what personal details each one will permit the other to use either in court or an eventual tell-all book. "Look at me cross-eyed" could emerge as the most common charge of misconduct in the personal nuisance suits that will clog the legal system. Playing right into that will be the amount of specific evidence people will have accumulated about each other as compulsive video documentation. Now let me pause there real fast. Compulsive video documentation. Reality shows, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, even YouTube, all the crazy stuff you see on TV. Yeah, compulsive video documentation. Now, check this out, what they're talking about here. Compulsive video documentation becomes the common new addiction. By the year 2010, TV networks will decide to give all video equipment owners a shot at their own show as long as they promise to supply footage that is extremely disturbing. Recorded evidence of violence and malicious mayhem will draw such astronomical sums that criminals contemplating an illegal activity will consult with movie developers. World Star will consult with movie developers during the important planning stages of the crime. Kind of like what we're seeing right now with on the news with all these false flags and nightclub shootings, and we're catching these actors red-handed. You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. They'll draw such astronomical sums that criminals contemplating illegal activity will consult with movie developers during the important planning stages of the crime. They will thus make sure that the approach they are taking with regard to plot and details is the one that will have the best eventual effect on sales figures and marketing potential. Now here's where it gets real deep, and here's where I think she's kind of blowing the whistle early back in 1992. So check this out. And it says, this blurring of the line between life and entertainment will culminate in a scandal when a giant underground facility is discovered in the Midwest that is being used as a breeding lab by desperate talk show producers. She was just being funny there, but she might be being serious too. By desperate talk show producers who have been completely out of new guests since the mid-1990s. It will be discovered that the producers have been assembling affable humanoids from the fat, tissue, bone, and spare parts of celebrities who have undergone a lot of plastic surgery, training the guests to cultivate zany or inappropriate hobbies and schooling them in how to tell 10 different 15-minute anecdotes about themselves. This will constitute their entire lifespan. Let me stop there. And they're pretty much saying that they're going to make these clones, show them how to act funny and how to say stupid stuff and make people laugh. And after they're done, that'll constitute their entire lifespan. After which, they will be melted down and reworked for an additional booking. Yes, it's going to be a bold new world full of brand new dysfunctions, addictions, and disorders. A million new things to worry about, but that's progress. Now that's deep if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you ask me, that's kind of like a hidden message and stuff, It's telling us exactly what's going on now, why people think Nicki Minaj is a cyborg, and you know what I'm saying? Because they're probably really doing that crazy stuff. Look at his Manners of Tomorrow. Remember to remove your ion helmet when dining in Quadrant 8B. Laugh when a Metfan makes a joke, even if it isn't funny. Ha ha ha, that's a knee slapper. Never ask anyone how much his or her biosphere costs. When traveling through time, don't dress like a complete SLOB. Smokers should indulge only within their porta-smoking module. Try not to seat two telepaths together at a dinner party. That's crazy. It's polite to bring a gift when entering a parallel universe. Anti-gravity chocolates. It is. Everything floating. Wine, flowers, and chocolates. Don't eat your protein paco, or don't eat your protein pack with your hands unless you're at a picnic. The key words for all 7 sexes are mutual respect. See, we got 7 sexes here. You know, it's only 2 sexes. They were showing you back in the fall of 1992 what was going to be happening here. So, you know, I just thought I'd show you this little article here because it was so interesting to me. Maybe it would be interesting to you too. Right, moving on. Let's get into this article about dream machines back in 1992 because I'm seeing these things on the news and you know, I see it on YouTube videos. You know, this little brainwashing machine. What is she holding in her hand? A cross or something? It's kind of funny. Got his hand oh, she's naked. Man. Okay, so let's see here. Virtual sex. The most intimate pleasures will be available online. And this is what's happening now. This made back in 1992, y'all. So let me get into the dream machines. Look at that. Little pyramid mouse, little pyramid device here. Let's take a better look at that up close. You might see this thing in the future. It might be already created, just maybe it's in a different form and not a triangle. Alright, let's see what it's talking about here. Dream machines, the century ahead. Technology watchers foresee a world filled with multi-sensual media, smart roads, and robots that are almost alive. Right. And how they got it on the water, they got it into a diamond. Right. We're sitting here watching a YouTube video. DNC RNC proves the world is an Illuminati stage. I'm sitting here looking at this pyramid structure, and I just wanted to ask people, is this pyramid structure in the Vatican? And if it is, we really in trouble, y'all. Now going back to my story about the dream machines here. Let's check this thing out. Try this sexual fantasy on for size. Author Howard Rheingold, who writes about the You Are There technology known as virtual reality, predicts that consenting adults in the not too distant future will be able to enjoy sex over the telephone. First, they will slip into undergarments lined with sensors and miniature actuators. Then they will dial their partner and, while whispering endearments, fondle each other over long-distance lines. For those who prefer something tamer, Nobel physicist Arno Penzias believes that in the 21st century it will be possible to play ping pong or any other sport with phantasms that look and talk like the celebrity of your choice. And that's just the beginning. Someday, says visionary Nobel physicist Arno Penzias, believes that in the 21st century it will be possible to play ping pong or any other sport with phantasms that look and talk like celebrities of your choice. And that's just the beginning. Someday, says visionary engineer K. Eric Drexler, molecular-sized machines will be able to assemble objects one atom at a time. Using this method, they could manufacture everything from prefabricated skyscrapers to computers small enough to fit inside a living cell. When asked to close their eyes and imagine the shape of technology in the 21st century, scientists and industrial planners describe a world filled with intelligent machines, multi-sensual media, and artificial creatures so highly evolved that they will seem as alive as dogs and cats. Even if their most conservative projections come true, the next century may bring advances no less monumentous than the bomb, the pill, and the digital. Robotics. Long predicted but slow to arrive, robots may finally have their day. Within decades, says MIT robot designer Rodney Brooks, the world could be filled with small, single-purpose, semi-intelligent creatures. He describes, for example, tiny insect-like vacuum cleaners that will hang out in dusty corners, scooping dirt into their bellies. When they hear the big vacuum robot coming, they will scurry to the end of the room, they'll scurry to the center of the room, empty their innards, and run back under the sofa. That's crazy. Robots will eventually learn a human trait, reproduction, and the smart ones will be able to improve on the original pattern with each new copy. It's kind of like how he was showing that video he was watching where the robot was turning over the squares and was trying to hide from the other robots and stuff. I'm gonna have to make a little video. Robots will eventually learn a human trait, reproduction. Right? Robots will eventually learn a human trait, reproduction, and the smart ones will be able to improve on the original pattern with each new copy. Self-replicating devices that are mobile can find their own sources of energy and evolve from one generation to another to satisfy many of the criteria that have come to be associated with living things, says Stephen Levy, author of a new book called Artificial Life. In the next century, says Levy, we'll relate to our machines as we now relate to domestic animals. The most important self-replicating machines, says Eric Drexler, will be a microscopic atom stacking factories or assemblers. Drexler, the author of Engines of Creation, believes that within a few decades, armies of assemblers will be programmed to turn out a wide range of consumer goods, from featherweight spacecraft to paper-thin television screens. Many of the things we can expect to see in the next 100 years will resemble the wild ideas of the 1950s and 1960s, he says. For the first few decades of the new millennium, new advances are likely to fit within familiar forms. People will still drive cars to work, albeit lightweight cars running on strange new fuels. Once workers will toil before computers, although those machines will probably respond to commands that are spoken or scribbled as well as typed. Families will gather around TV sets with big high-definition screens and large menu of interactive options. After a few decades, those familiar forms will blend together and begin to lose their distinct identities. TVs, VCR, CD players, computers, telephones, video games, newspapers, and mail order catalogs will merge to create new products and services that can only be dimly imagined today. That's going on today already. Somewhere around the middle of the century, many scientists predict technology may enter a transitional phase, a shift in the ground rules that will put what is now considered pure science fiction well within society's reach. We're at the knee of a curve, after which all those imitations of the future may actually come true, says John Holzreicher, Director of Institutional Research and Development at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Among the scenarios he and his colleagues anticipate, and that's where we're at right here on this page, y'all. Communications. People in the 21st century will wear their telephones like jewelry, with microphones hidden in necklaces or lapel pins and miniature speakers tucked behind each ear, predicts Nobilist Penzias, Vice President of Research at AT&T Bell Laboratories. Every phone customer will have long since been issued a personal number that follows him everywhere, home, the office, the beach. Thanks to telecommunications system that will link phone networks, cable TV systems, satellite broadcasts, and multimedia libraries, getting connected to anything or anyone in the most remote parts of the world will be simple matter. This easy access will spur the rapid growth of virtual communities. If picture phones finally become widely accepted, people will begin to make network friends whom they may never meet in person. These communities will flourish as the cost of transmitting voices and images keep falling. Moving on, computers. The standalone machines that dominate office desktops today will eventually insinuate themselves into the walls and furniture, perhaps even into clothes. Exotic display devices will serve as windows onto great interconnected networks. These windows could be as big as chalkboards. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me get this straight here. These windows could be as big as chalkboards or as small as post-it notes. According to scientists pursuing ubiquitous computing technologies at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center, computer screens could even be etched on the lenses of eyeglasses. They got that now. The networks of the future will become increasingly populated with new kinds of software entities known as personal assistants or agents. These agents will monitor the outside world, gleaning pertinent information, filtering out unwanted clutter, tracking appointments, and offering advice. A travel agent, for example, would be indispensable to a foreign traveler by doing simultaneous transactions or pointing out sites of interest. A virtual lawyer could give expert legal opinions. A Wall Street agent timely investment tips. A Wall Street agent timely investment tips. That's pretty crazy. Now, some of you may be saying, well, I can go and just buy the magazine and read it myself, but why do all that when I can read it right here for you? Now, check this out. Home entertainment. The shift to digital entertainment media, which began with compact discs in the 1980s, will open up new dimensions in leisure. Nicholas Negroponte, director of MIT's Media Laboratory, is that laboratory or laboratory? You could say the same thing, huh? Predicts the availability before the end of the next century of full-color, large-scale holographic TV with force, feedback, and all factory output, which is to say, home movies that can be seen, felt, and smelled. The trend will be toward entertainment that is customized for the individual, including do-it-yourself multimedia fantasies, as well as newspapers and magazines, edited to suit each subscriber's interest. That's what they're doing with Facebook right now. You notice? Is based on what you like and research, advertisements pop up for you personally, just for you. As overpopulation makes the real world less congenial, artificial realities will become more attractive. 50 years from now, the ability to put oneself in the shoes of another character in another place, Rambo rafting down the Orinoco, say, could be a metered commodity like pay TV. Stuart Brand, creator of the Whole Earth catalog, thinks these experiences might provide the kind of mind-expanding thrills people once got from psychedelic drugs, but without the mental and physical.
Learn why Donald Trump could be the light at the end of the tunnel in wanting to have healthy and good relationships with Russia. Why wouldn't the Obama administration want healthy relationships with Russia? As anybody who listens to this video can hear, Putin is not looking for war with the US but respectful relationships. Why would we be preparing for war against them that would lead to our total destruction? Putin drops several bombshells on us all in this video, sending a loud and clear warning that at least 2 US elections have already been stolen, bringing up the absolutely abominable superdelegate process that is not only a kick in the teeth,